Hey beautiful, welcome to yet another episode of the Big Fat Talk Show. With me today is Muthoni Mate. She's an epidemiologist with over a decade of progressive growth, working with global institutions to support emerging disease management in the East African region. Mother to an amazing little lady, a daughter, a sister, a friend, founder of the Cancer Cafe, and technical advisor to the Rotary Foundation under the Disease Prevention and Treatment.
Cadre.
Well, this is an amazing biography, Muthoni, and without further ado, guys, hi Muthoni.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So glad to have you here. Your story is one that I know I want everyone to listen to. It's amazing and it's inspiring, but it's also a big eye-opener. So let's start from the top.
Okay, thank you very much. So, for me, the Cancer Cafe was birthed because of a personal experience that I had. I remember 2016, but before 2016, I always used to go in for my normal routine checks. The same checks that you're told every year at least to go in for your annual medical checkup. And I always remember my mentor then telling me that if you take care of your vehicle, I mean, when it's done with the 5,000 kilometers, you don't even wait for the 5,000. You go and have it checked out. Yes. So are you doing the same thing with your body? Yeah. And his rationale is the car has spare parts, you don't. So if you don't take care of yourself and figure things out early enough, you have nothing to replace it with. And I took that as a challenge. So every year, every August of every year, I'd always go in to just have just a normal routine check. Nothing fancy, nothing out of the way. So I'd go have my eyes checked, I'd have my dentals checked, I'll have my chest, I'll do my pap smear, and then I'd finish off with, what would it be? The breast exam. So I remember I had done all the 4, and the only thing that was remaining was a breast exam. And since I used to go to the same family doctor, he already knew what he was looking for. And so for every year, everything had always been clean, always within the range of normalcy. And he was like, yeah, you're good to go. But this one year, 2016, he spotted something very minor. And the only way he was able to do that is because he was able to compare the previous year reports with this particular report, and there was something different. And yeah, so he told me if I wouldn't mind just doing a few extra tests to just be on the safe side. And that's when they found very little tiny lumps on my breast. And once they did a biopsy, they turned out to be cancerous. So yeah,
Wow. Yeah. So that was 2016. How old were you then?
35? Yeah. Yeah. It was one of those things that, one, you never think can happen to you. You always hear about stories of other people, relatives or friends of friends, but it's always out there. Now this has come home, and I didn't have any of the classic risk factors that they always use to just put you on the watch list. So getting that on that day, initially I told the doctor, wait, there's something wrong with your machines. It has to be you who's making an error. But we reconfirmed, and that is what it was. And I always remember sitting down right outside his clinic and thinking that was it. Thinking that, what does this mean? You've been given a diagnosis where, for all intentions, means your life has literally come to a stop. Yeah. You have a little one who you're raising. You have bills to pay. You still have to buy milk and go home. But what does that mean? And at that time, I completely forgot that I was working in the healthcare industry, and I became this person whose world literally just crashed. Me being me, went home, blocked off everything, didn't tell anybody what was going on, went through life pretending I hadn't had that appointment. But At some point, the doctor kept calling and saying, we have to start on treatment. You cannot ignore this, because the earlier it's caught, the better the management, the better the outcomes. And it was at that time then I had to call my family and tell them, guys, I did a couple of tests and this is what they found. And the whole shock and disbelief and, oh, Nairobi doctors are out to get money, so let's come and do the tests again. And it still ended up being the same thing. So as a family then we had to sit down and work out what next. What does this mean? What resources do we have to just attack this situation? I was lucky enough to have family that literally just rallied around me. And at no one time did I feel abandoned, which happens a lot because there's always that fear of the treatment plan itself is quite expensive, and a lot of people get the fatigue of just giving and giving and giving for something that you're not very sure this person is going to come out on the other end or will end up burying them in a couple of months. So there's always that conflict. Even as when I started off my treatment, I remember always crying and asking my mom, why are you spending so much money on me? And I don't know whether I'm going to make it for the following day. Why don't you save that money and just let me go? And now that I think about it, it was quite hard for her to just hear those words. But for me, it made sense at that time. You've gone through the side effects, you've gone through the treatment plans, which the conventional treatment that we have in Kenya, which is your surgery, your chemotherapy, and your radiotherapy in no particular order, is nothing I would want even on my worst enemy. Yeah, it breaks you. It breaks you mentally, it breaks you down spiritually, it breaks you down physically. You feel like there's something wrong with you. You actually have this whole time in your mind where you're looking at life. You know the way you can always plan, next month I'll be doing this, or next year I'll take this trip?
Yeah, exactly.
That whole plan shriveled down to the next 24 hours. I need to leave this day. I don't know about tomorrow. I cannot even plan for tomorrow. So your life literally shrinks down to, have I taken my medicine? Am I due for the next chemo? Am I going for the next test? Do they need my blood work? Is my immunity up? Your life literally just revolves around just surviving another day. So it takes quite a toll. It does. And I was lucky enough to just have a lot of friends, family members who just came out of the woodwork and were there. People who, I always remember I lost a couple of friends, but at the same time I gained so many friends who understood the journey that you're going through because they themselves had gone through it, and they became like big sisters to me. People who would understand when I tell them that there's the madness in my head just because of the fuzziness of the drugs. And they'll be like, that's normal. I'm like, that cannot be normal. They're like, you will have to understand that you're going through a new normal. And you need to be okay with being not okay. I got to learn that family just doesn't have to be blood relatives. You can have family from any person who takes the time of their day-to-day living and just pauses to just check up on you. And I had a lot of that. And that was partially because one of the things that I remember I was told is, Muthoni, don't be quiet about this thing. Don't be silent about it, because that's a natural tendency where you withdraw from society and just deal with it in isolation because you feel like no one else is going to understand what you're going through. But the minute I started talking about it, ironically, that's when I got the most help. That's when people came out and were like, no. If you're having your nausea, try this. This is going to help. Or if you are having loss of appetite, how about try putting some ginger in your food? So you start getting all these little tips and that are helping you walk through that journey. And it got to a point where we would literally just sit down and compare notes and actually find humor in it. In all that darkness of treatment, you're able to just find that silver lining that makes you smile for the day.
and it just took you to be comfortable enough to speak about it. But before you got to that level, what was it that you were doing, you know? Were you keeping to yourself too much? Were you running away from things? How were you dealing with it?
You know what ends up, remember I told you that this is a condition whose, the nature of the condition and even the treatment plan that you go through breaks you down.
Breaks you, yeah.
In all angles. So you end up thinking that it's easier for me to just leave, because one, you're not even understanding what's going on in your head yourself. You're going through this, 1 minute you're sad, then the next minute you're angry at God, the next minute you don't want to see people around you, the next minute you want them around you. So even you yourself,
you're confused, you're in a bad place.
In a very bad place, and it's not even making sense to you. So I always remember at times having friends coming to visit, and I just didn't want them to visit me because I wanted to be in a little corner, curtains closed, doors closed, and just not think. So having somebody constantly asking you, are you okay, are you okay, was not for me. It pulled me down, because then what I found myself not thriving on pity party. I couldn't live on pity party at all.
Because people tend to do that, even out of love. It's not necessarily, you know, something they're doing to spite you, but it can really get to you. Like
it's what I call suffocating love, where they want to love you so much that they suffocate you. So and now we laugh about it, but I always remember running, always telling them I've gone to a hospital, and all I would go and do in the hospital, there used to be this really nice orange couch, and I'd just go and sleep. I wasn't doing anything, but it was this space where they knew, okay, Muthoni's in hospital, she's in good hands. If anything happens, she's well taken care of. But once I'm in hospital, no one is talking to me, no one is asking me how you are.
It was your escape.
It was my escape. It was my safe haven to just silence the madness in my head, where I could go think without having the constant buzz, and then get to learn how to now start telling people that this is what I'm experiencing, this is what I'm going through, once it made sense to me. So till today, still end up at that couch once in a while.
Oh, so, you know, if somebody is watching who's going through the same thing, or knows somebody going through the same thing, then, I mean, what you're saying basically is when somebody is in that kind of a situation, there's a stage where they're also confused. And all they need is your unsolicited, non-judgmental, non-accepted, you know, you don't expect anything, just your presence, just sit there and just be there. That's it. You know, don't ask many questions, because again, like I said, not to spite, but maybe we just tend to, because it's new to us, we're a bit, so we can ask a lot of questions, maybe surrounded by, you know, out of love, say, oh, I brought all the family to see you, but that's not what you need. So, I mean, it's not like these diseases come with a manual, so even people don't know what to do, you know.
So what ends up happening is, naturally we're very uncomfortable with silence. So you always feel the urge to ask or speak or talk about the weather. I always tell those who I talk to, ask the patient. And even just, for me, it was such a big relief, just waking up and finding somebody there who is there. You're not on your own. You've not woken up and found yourself alone in the room. You've not woken up and found yourself alone in the house. There's life going on around you.
No one's treating, no one's behaving like differently. And
exactly. Life is normal, because then already you know there's something very abnormal about you. So you crave that normalcy. You crave waking up to go to the kitchen and grab a cup of chai.
And you don't want to be the reason for this abnormality. You don't want to be the reason for it. So you just, so what I'm hearing is, if somebody's going through what you did, don't make them feel different.
At all.
Don't make them feel the difference that's going on in their lives and the abnormality. Just try and force whatever way you can to make things normal.
Just try and live life. Because I remember I had crazy friends who were like, Muthoni, are you fine? Okay. Today you have extra energy? Okay, let's go bungee jumping. And we went for zip lining, smack in the middle of treatment. And for me, that was, remember I told you your day literally shrinks to 24 hours? And you get to start learning new strengths, new. So for me, I literally, that one zip line was the equivalent of like 5 therapy sessions, because I came back home and I was feeling so achieved and so energetic and so happy with myself.
So, you know, living in the moment, taking everything in.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, so it's just not making a big deal out of it, because already the patient knows it's big. So don't add onto that picture. Try and make it as normal as possible.
I mean that's really important information for people who go through it. Like we said earlier, it doesn't come with the manual, neither for the person who's going through it, or you know, the family around him or her, because we tend to just freak out as well, and that only affects. So that's really good to hear. So how the treatment obviously worked. So you ended up, take us through that.
So I had to have surgery done just to remove the section that had the lumps. After which then I did my chemotherapy, and what chemotherapy does is more or less just wipes out any fast growing cells.
Okay.
So cells like your hair, your nails, your alimentary canal, all that stops. It stops generating itself. So that's why you find that the hair falls off. That's why you find every time you eat something that doesn't agree with your system, it's thrown out. That's why you find that your palms and your nails turn black, simply because they have stopped regenerating for as long as you're on treatment. Once you're done with treatment, then now your body now is on overdrive. So you're in a scenario where the drugs break you down, and you're supposed to use your food to build up your body. So you're in this constant fight of destroy, rebuild, destroy, rebuild. So you'll find for every session that you would go for, they would have to do tests to just check whether you're strong enough to take the next hit of treatment. If your immunity is low, or you've picked up a flu, or something is off and you're not strong enough, then they can't proceed with chemotherapy. So something that ends up being a 4-month course can go up until 6 months, 8 months.
So this sounds so much more intricate and inclusive than what we even see on TV. They show you chemotherapy on TV. The most we can relate to that is no hair. But they don't show you the darkening of the palms, of the nails, of the throwing up. They don't show you all that, you know. So it's actually, again, something that we're not used to, because we can only go by what we see.
Yeah, because then you see, those are side effects that you get to know once you start the treatment. So I always remember my oncology nurse always telling me, Muthoni, the next time you come here, you'd better be covered up. I was like, why am I covering up? It's sunny outside. Like, are you forgetting that your cells are not regenerating? So even your skin cells is easily burnt. So I always remember I had a hat on, and I always used to cover up. So all these little things that you get to learn with time. You get to learn that because of the surgery and they remove the lymph nodes, you have a tendency of your arm to swell because of lymphedema, which one morning I was okay, the next my hand was all double the size, and I had no idea what was going on. So once you ask, that's when people, oh, okay, that's lymphedema, okay, go for a massage. But it's not your typical massage where the massage that we're used to. It's we call it lymphatic draining, that literally just redirects the lymphatic fluids into another system that drains off.
Oh, wow.
Yes, but you need to have a healthcare provider, a doctor, a nurse, who you're comfortable with to talk about, because you'll start talking about such things as, I have a fever, is that normal? I am losing weight, is that normal? I'm thinking, I'm still young, could I have babies afterwards? How is my partner going to help me be able to walk through this journey? So you need to have somebody who, one, will be able to give you that information and give it to you in a very simplified manner that you can be able to articulate and take charge of.
That's important, in a simple manner where you can, a layman's terms, that's easily understandable and done. Yeah, that was a really big eye opener for all of us Kenyans here, that we always rush to India to get treatment for cancer. And when you are diagnosed with cancer, you just imagine death after. Muthoni's story is inspirational, but also, like I said, an eye opener to a lot of us. It makes me want to do a lot of research as well, to find out all the options we have right here in Nairobi, because from Muthoni's story, one thing we know for sure is we don't want to overlook the importance of having family around as part of your treatment. So, I mean, that's a bit of homework for all of us, isn't it? In the Holy Quran, chapter 2, verse 153, O you who believe, seek help with patience, perseverance and prayer, for God is with those who patiently persevere. Have you subscribed yet to the Big Fat Talk Show? Click the link here now so that you don't miss any other episode.